All right, kids. Mike is in. Uh, do your sets. You know what I mean? Do your sets. It's untradeable. It's not showing as a duplicate, which kind of makes me feel like Base Dougie is not on a team. Um, meh. So I don't know. Don't know what the deal is with that. But 85 face-offs plus the face-off master synergy, 85 overall center means that if I want to have a center focusing on face-offs, he could end up making it into the team as a on as a center, probably fourth line, because I think that I think that rating is a little bit lower than like Claude Giroux or something like that. Um, Certainly the team of the week Bergie. So my guess, just off that alone, means that he'd make it into the team just from supplanting the primetime Kuznetsov, who's not as good at faceoffs, and should then get pushed out onto one of the wings. Um, but I just realized as I was saying that, because I just woke up and I'm hoping to go back and get some more sleep. This was going to be a 30-second video. Um, as I say that, I just remembered that technically yesterday was the pickup of Nieuwendyk, that I would imagine pretty much everybody who plays on a even semi-regular basis managed to pick up before the end of this month. And those faceoffs are good. Bas- basically pushing out Ferraro, which that's two right there. Um, yeah, an 85 overall person who's decent at faceoffs. The base Kuznetsov. I'm sorry, the base. Why is it stupid phone? Um, the base. Geez. Um, the base standard hut cover, or is that what they're calling it? Messier. He's also 85 overall. Um, Not face-off master and burner, but face-off master and what? Um, um, Passing playmaker. Call a shot. One of the two. Um, and I don't remember, but his face-off rating base has got to be close to that, if not even potentially better. So there's a fair amount of untradeable centers who are actually decent at faceoffs, as opposed to the wide range um, of current centers that are not just not just top tier centermen currently playing, but potentially, um, I don't know what range you want to put them in, but they're up there as far as all time players go. Um, I mean, I don't know if you want to say Kuznetsov is not part of that. I mean, you can just say that Crosby's not part of that. Um, McKinnon hasn't played enough yet to get into that range, but he's not very good at faceoffs either. Um, Over there with Crosby, Malkin technically on the second line, typically for his actual team. Um, his upgrade card came out on faceoffs, and that was the original comment that I made in the community, and got a lot of got a lot of flack, and at least one person willing to step up and say, "Hey, maybe it's just you, and you need to improve um, how you are on faceoffs," which is a terrible point to make, even if it's true, because it's like, okay, well, if you want to improve on faceoffs, why would you not do that as well as take players who are better at it and have a higher stat in it? Um, unless you are looking at a card like this, which, yes, even untradeable, can be upgraded. Um, right? I mean, he's part of the upgrade set. Almost, or not? Is he not? He has to be. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to get this card. There's no alumni out in packs right now. So he has to be part of the upgrade set. I was very sure he was, but now, as I think through that, it makes sense if he only is. So if you look at this and you're like, all right, he's a center, his faceoffs are 85, it's good, not great, but good enough to make my team if I'm focusing on just that. And then basically across the board, you want to say middle of the road, fine, but it's that for basically every category. 83s, 84 on the low end, up to 87s on the high end. And then awareness is 89 at both. Shot blocking is 92. Stick checking is 82. Um, Poise, if that's your thing, is 93. So um, overall, it's a pretty good card. And if you're into synergies, pretty good synergies. Again, especially if you're looking for face-offs from a centerman. Um, or if you're looking for speed, he's not really necessarily going to provide you with that speed because that's just how it is. Very few base alumni cards are going to provide you with speed. 84 is about the top end for base alumni cards, but does have that burner synergy, so that 84 becomes 86 when activated, and it's really just going to be a thing where you can find three other players who actually do have speed that have the burner synergy that he essentially activates for you, kind of quote unquote for free, assuming that he makes it onto at least the fourth line as a center because of the face-off stats, which is only really going to factor in on the longer games and almost never in the 2-minute games that are heavily prevalent throughout HUT. So if you put him on the third line as a center, if that makes sense for your team, which at this point you got Nieuwendyk and you got Ferraro, so how is this card your next best center just from a face-offs perspective? And are you really feeling like the rest of the stats are good enough that he should be your third center? I, I don't know. And then I guess you could say, okay, well, I don't have both Ferraro and Nieuwendyk. If you, like, the only way that would make any sense to me is if you join, like, super late in September. You absolutely should have Nieuwendyk by now. I didn't like exactly grind. I fell behind considerably in doing the dailies, and I still have them. But I don't know if you only play like once a week or whatever, and you don't play, even when you do play once a week, you don't play for more than that one time per week, and that one time is less than 8 hours. Then okay, I guess you don't have Nieuwendyk. But if you have those two players and you want to make this your third line center, I picked up the mic because I think it's a good card to have again as untradeable and again as part of the new format channel. Therefore, being a player his way currently onto the team, most likely, but not always. So I don't know. That's just me. That's my thought. Is that this is a solid fourth line center for this team a fair enough amount of the time. Have I not noticed before that they're doing eight games contracts when you pull the card? I don't know why I thought standard was 5, but okay. Must be confusing that with loan players. And so he's on the fourth line. Likely for me means that I can end up having 4 centers with face-off masters or synergy that are also pretty decent at face-offs. I also happen to have through this process the base alumni tradable of Howardchuk, and even though I have very rarely ever put him on as a center, except in a couple of kind of key spots based on the rest of the team that was playing that game, on special teams, even on the standard front 12, he was still a winger on that 1 or 2 times that I did that I can think of off the top of my head. But he's got face-off manager synergy and got a decent face-off stat as well. So that's my initial guess, is if I had like off the top of my head, I would assume Team of the Week Bergie, even base Claude Giroux, and I'm pretty sure he's got upgrades out there. I just haven't pulled an untradeable version of one yet. And then either one of those two options would be halfway decent, and I have to imagine that let's see. Bergie, yes, has Face-Off Master. Giroux, I don't think does. But whether he does or not, he's good at face-offs. And he's in both. The base Giroux is an 85 overall. Um, Team of the Week Bergie is technically upgraded to 86 overall. Um, so yeah, and then again the Hut cover, they're calling it the 85 overall Messier. Uh, it has face-off master synergy and also good at face-offs. So very possible at this point, um, if this card is needed to complete that as the fourth one, adding Nieuwendyk into the mix, very easy in my opinion, for me at least. Even doing just only untradables and not going out into the market and buying anything. Um, and in fact, whenever I would get something, because I think you see from this video on the lower end, the silver common up to and then potentially including gold common could have been untradeable through these sets. But then from there, at least the two gold rares are both. I think I said that backwards. The two gold rares are certainly untradeable, but some of the ones that came from the sets before that can technically be tradable. But again, I don't find a lot of value in the market for most of them. I just clicked through them as fast as I could in this video. Um, I just don't find a lot of value in them. If you have enough, then you can make more of those sets. Basically, that's what it comes down to, for me at least, doing this format. So, um, if I do manage to pick up a halfway decent card that is tradable and therefore is not going to play on my team, then I can go ahead and try to put it onto the market. Um, but yeah, not going out and purchasing any cards in the market to try to fill in the team. Again, I think that this is not that hard to do, to have four centers who are solid enough at faceoffs and are not, say, like sorry, I forget his name right now, but there's a bronze rare who's got three synergies, all of which I've liked at certain times, that include Face-Off Master, and has a decent Face-Off base rating, like better than base Crosby's. Um, and again, if you just want to put him on the fourth line center, or even stick him on like a wing, or maybe the blue line if your blue line tends to not make it into those short games or whatever, I think all that's kind of fine. That particular player that I'm talking about, um, and and in that case, you can have the face-off master synergy activated with that as well. Um, but I don't. I think I'm just rambling at this point. I don't know what the fuck I was talking about, but I guess I'm just saying it's not that hard to have four 85 plus rating cards of centers that are actually good at faceoffs. Oh, I think what I was trying to say about the bronze card is, like, obviously the rest of his stats are not as high as this. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a bronze. It's just, it's how it works. Um, but yeah, this is not a bad card. It's kind of middle of the road now. Early in the game, I think I would have really enjoyed having this, and he might have even found his way. I don't know. He might have even found his way up to like the second line. And then probably even like a week or two in, he would have already dropped to the third line, as his kind of standard. And now I don't know. Having burner, and potentially being able to kind of just be a free burner ad, if you have three others that are going to activate the synergy that need it, and do have speed and are playing in other positions, and he's on the fourth line as a center who's kind of as a backup and is not going to hurt you on faceoffs, and the overall stats around the rest of it. Basically, anything else that you look for him to do, and up to including, not being out of position and making a bad spot on defense late in the game, when that line is potentially going to see some time. I think it works. I do. So it's cool. I like it. Put on the mic to say was glad. I mean, I only saw this, played with the card, probably the loan version. I don't know. I guess, because otherwise that would show as a duplicate if I had the the standard card, and I can't imagine ever having the standard card and selling it. That would just seem really strange to me. 'Cause I don't think this card has a ton of resale value currently. Um, but yeah, so now clicking into the actual stats, and seeing, you see a skate rating of 84, and then you see that basically none of the speed is any higher than that. That becomes disappointing slightly, right? And you see 86 on shot, and you see that nothing gets better than that. Slap shot power is 86, and technically wrist shot accuracy is +1 from that. So again, also slightly disappointing. Seems like handles is maybe one of the few that um, gets you like at least deking in hand-eye with slightly higher than the overall 85, and that's just because puck control is down at 84. Um, and checking at 83. I don't know. I guess body checking being low, and whatever things other than checking and shot blocking, unless shot blocking. Now I'm messing that up. I think shot blocking goes towards defense, right? So stick checking 89 and body checking 81 are obviously part of the check. What else would go into there? Like would be strength, acceleration, poise, and I don't know. I'm trying to think, but I can't remember now. Whatever it is, though, I mean, obviously body checking 83 is probably part of the reason why. Sorry, body checking at 81 is probably part of the reason why the check is at 83. Because stick checking 89 is not bad for an 83 overall in checking. And obviously in defense, again, sort of the same sort of thing. 89 overall, you'd think you'd have a shot at least the defensive awareness stat being slightly higher. Maybe not a ton, maybe like 90, 91. And I know I've said this in many broadcasts, and people probably think I'm really, really off on this, where it's like, why do I care about a +1 or +2? But I don't know. I think once you get to this point, the edges matter. Um, having basically, if you took the exact same card with all else being equal or more or less, with a defensive awareness of 90 as opposed to 89, okay, maybe not going to make a huge difference for you, especially if they don't, this card doesn't have any defense synergies, and so it'd be in the same boat as another card that does not, and would be reliant upon a team-wide synergy that increases that stat. So okay, fine, probably not that big of a deal, honestly. I'll agree with you on that. But I don't know. Once you get to 91, again, having everything else the same and defensive awareness stat 91, I personally think, especially at certain levels, you can start to see a little bit of a difference. And as it goes up from there, obviously capped at 99, there's a little bit more room to go from 91 to 99. And as you go at some point in there, regardless of what level you're at as a player, I do feel like there's an edge to be had there. So that's why I say those kind of things. 89 for me is certainly good enough. And again, I mean, he's a centerman, so you're not really looking for defense out of him. And so, yeah, sure, I will point out the fact that offensive awareness is also 89 too. So he should be able to find himself in the right spot when you're not controlling him on the AI, especially with AI for the most part not being completely stupid, right? But I feel like the defense awareness stat in general at 89, is good enough for a person that you're likely not putting this card on any of your defensive positions. I know I mentioned that you can potentially have him on your blue line if he's not going to find his way into the game otherwise, and you want him in there for anything. Maybe for those two synergies or whatever. I don't know. I don't play your own game, man. Do what you want, but that could potentially happen, and I don't think on that line, especially in a short game, for sure, that he's going to cause you any problems, be out of position too much, not be able to potentially be in there to block a shot, again with a 92 overall rating on that. But, I mean, he's a playmaker. It's like, and I know he doesn't have the speed, but I think I'm going to rather see him in the games that he's qualified to find a spot in. I'd rather kind of see him on the offensive side. Not that defenders are not capable of switching out, but I don't know, just random thoughts, I guess. So I'd rather see him on the offensive side. For me, at least, he's probably going to be fourth line in the games that he does make. And I'm going to know that even if I'm playing a longer game, even up to the 20-minute period games, Um, that he's again important for me at least. I don't know about everybody else, but important for me that again probably being fourth line center, but potentially being a fourth line winger in weird spots, I guess. But again, not very fast. So you might be a situation where you got to pick which side you want the speed from and which side you want the shooting from, and you can probably do better even on a fourth line from shooting, but it's middle of the road or I don't know about middle of the road that you might be looking for on that. It's good enough. I guess you can do that and get away with it. But more importantly for me, being on that line, and especially in a longer game where it will actually see some play time, um, I don't feel like he's going to find himself out of position on the defensive side too often. I don't think that it's strong enough, though, that you'd want to go in there and tweak and make sure that you're always putting him onto both of the penalty kills, whether the um, either one of the two lines for both fours and threes. Um, at least as far as saying like, okay, we got to have him out there because defense is really good. I'm not disagreeing with that notion. I would think of it more in terms of his face-off stat is good, and he's got face-off master, and assuming that that's synergized, you're looking at a minimum of 87 for face-offs. And again, I think that's solid. And again, yeah, if you're in a spot where you got to kill off a penalty for assuming 2 minutes on average, um, sure, you're going to want somebody in there taking the faceoffs that's actually capable of winning one against your level or potentially higher. Um, and I've said it many times. I don't know if like the base Crosby, even the upgraded Malkin. Um, in my opinion, I have it on my team. I would say even the upgraded Kuznetsov, they just don't necessarily find themselves in that spot that I'd be stoked to be in a position where, especially in a longer game, it might be taking a fair amount of penalties, and now I got to rely on that player to be even necessarily not the first one to take the faceoffs. If you put him on one of the second lines of either one of the two penalty kill squads, again the fours or the threes, for me, I don't think that I want to be in that spot. I think way too often against opponents, CPU or human doesn't necessarily make as much of a difference. Um, Both capable of taking advantage of that against me at least. If that's who's in there, again, even as a second option, if you're taking, especially if you're in a longer game, you're taking more than one penalty, or just the regular lines are so de-energized throughout a longer game that the either you, if you're choosing it, are forced to choose the second penalty kill team, or the game chooses it for you automatically. And again, you got one of those types of players that's got a lower rating than this and also doesn't have the synergy to go with it. I wouldn't want to be in that position. I think that then goes back to the person who said, "Hey, get better at faceoffs." In that case, yes, I would agree with that. Um, if you want to be able to have a player like that being your center on special teams, on penalty kills specifically, and relying on them to be able to win faceoffs, then yes, if they're not going to be at least an 85 with boosts, you're going to need to get better at faceoffs. Um, you know, Unless you're just playing on rookie, then who cares? And this 26.5 minute video, of which I believe I talked for 24 and a half of those minutes or more, would have been completely pointless, almost all of it, because if you're playing on rookie, you don't even need a player as good as this. You can just play with like an entire team of silver rares that don't even have synergized, and you're still gonna win. It's not hard. So that's the card. It's the card of the day. We're gonna kill this video now, and I get it, 85 overall, but if you're not doing sets, I guess maybe you're not doing them because of the exact opposite reason of why I am doing them, because you don't want to get even some, let alone a bunch of cards that you can't turn around and trade on the market. Even though I could go through here and put them into the collection, and then go into the auction house and see what he's selling for, or just go right into the auction house and look at the specifics that would be able to filter specifically for this card alone, and see what a handful of them are going for currently. I would suspect not a ton. So if that's your concern, is that either one of those points, number one, that you're getting untradeable cards and therefore you can't turn around and sell them on the market, or maybe you are looking for a bunch of tradable cards so that you can do stuff on the market, then yeah, that right off the bat, these are going to be untradeable. So that wouldn't make a ton of sense, I guess, to do the sets for that purpose. Personally, I feel like you should maybe have a chance of being able to supplement your team with players like this, if you're turning around and selling players who are probably at or above this level, that are tradable, that you obviously didn't get from sets like this. Maybe you bought them or whatever, but it's just kind of part of what I would think. I don't know. So yeah, if you have no desire for untradables at all, then sure, gold rare rerolls don't make a ton of sense, other than trying to get a 94 overall Sakic, which, spoiler alert, is also going to be untradeable. So I mean, but a 94 overall Sakic, come on, man, he's not going to find a way on your squad. You have all legends. All legends. You already have 99 Gretzky. You already have 99 Lemieux. You look at an upgraded Connor McDavid currently out there on Team of the Week, and you're just like, nah, I just don't want it. Like you have it, you trade it, play the market a little bit. You're just like, sorry, Connor, not good enough to make my squad. I'm only 95 pluses on this team. Okay, congrats, GG, you win, I guess, right? How many 95 pluses are out there even though? So I don't know how you would not want a 94 overall Sakic. Who cares if it's untradeable, man? Later on down the road, I suppose we might get enough 94s. But so far, and again, it's also untradeable. But so far, for the 2 months that we've had so far of free cards that you more or less get from just logging in, and technically, I guess, probably also playing enough to get the daily milestones done. I got an 80. It's for our 88 overall. I wanted to say he was 89 for some reason, but he's 88 or 89, and for some reason I'm thinking he's 88. And now Nieuwendyk at 90, and I guess that could suggest that it could go up from there. But how much is it going to go up? So eventually going to get a 92, and then how long are you going to play the game? My guess is for 12 months or less. And average is probably 3 months, or maybe a little bit more. And I feel like most players are going to be done with the game in 6 months' time. Whenever sort of end game is for even the most dedicated of players, and team of the year, has come out, and you do whatever you do with that, and you play for however much longer you play after that, which is maybe another month or something. So I don't know, maybe you're talking about like 7 or 8 months total. But a lot of those players that have that are likely going to get beta for NHL 20. How often are they playing NHL 19 if they've got beta for NHL 20? I'm not sure. I don't know them. I've never talked to a single one of them. Just watching their YouTube channels, doesn't seem like it'd be that common. So last time, there you go. Not that hard to find this, by the way. If you want to know his stats, it's a pretty common card in the marketplace. So if you want, and again, as I said, currently, I don't think it's very expensive. And if you want to be diligent about it and make sure you get the best possible price, which is gonna save you 1, 2K, maybe 3 total if you're super diligent about it, I guess. Um, and yeah, you can see from my coins, I don't really have the coins to be getting too crazy and not being diligent about stuff. But even so, like I said, basically it's a common enough card that you can go out there and find it. And then if you're really playing and you got the coin for it, go ahead and upgrade. But there you go, 85 overall, alumni center who's actually capable of playing center, even for people like me that need the face-off statistic to be, or rating, I guess you'd call it, to be high enough to make sense for me. Qualifies in all those categories. And yet, as I said, having said all that, definitely not a lock to make the team every single time, not even just at the fourth line center position, also anywhere on the fourth line, as well as also anywhere on the blue line. And then, yeah, you can't play him as your sub goalie just for the synergy. Like, spoiler alert, you didn't know that. And yeah, you can't also make him your coach, even though, if you go far enough back in the game, there were player coaches, right? But we're sending to the collection. We're gonna end this video. Talked way too long, anyways. I don't know if any of that was valuable to anyone. Those people that play the game regularly, they would have known. I would imagine at least 99% of what I said. If they didn't know something, it was probably just insights into the very specific way in which I look at these things, which is probably not exactly the same as everybody else, or even that many other players look at it. But if they are really good players and they are really good about wanting to maximize their returns in the market and that sort of thing, then kind of knowing how almost everybody thinks can be beneficial. And so knowing specifically how I think, and if they're in any of my communities, they know a little bit more maybe about how they can potentially entice me by saying, hey, I got this card, you got any interest? And they will very quickly see me respond and say, what do you want?